500. 500 is a lot of wickets. And over the years, much like we did with Anil Kumble, we've always complained about what Ashwin cannot do. We don't analyze how bad Neymar is as a centre back or as a goalkeeper. We never talk about why Novak Djokovic can't serve and volley. Only in cricket. It's only in cricket that we like to question people about what they cannot do. And that's part of the Ashwin story, isn't it? Greatness finds a way, and find a way he has to get to this 500 mark. Not bad for someone who started off as an opening batsman at Somasundaram Park and the Chemplast ground en route to the bright lights of the IPL and international cricket. It's a wonderful milestone for one of the most astute cricketers and thinkers of our times. And long may that wickets tally grow, and long may he stay fit, really, to challenge Anil Kumble by the end of his career whenever he hangs up its boots. There's Ashwin.
TV umpire to director, we have a player review. Can we rock and roll, please?
Hello, and welcome to episode number 111 of Bits and Pieces, the actual Nelson. Now, Nelson, as you all know, is essentially supposed to be a very unlucky number. People are very superstitious about it, but not today. Today is a glorious day, especially if you're an Indian fan. If you're an English fan, well, Nelson does not seem to work very well for you. We are recording just minutes after India defeated England by a margin of 434 runs. It is the largest margin of victory in terms of runs in tests, which wildly surpasses the 372 runs that New Zealand got. India got against New Zealand some time back. So this is the massive day. India has got a great victory, and I have with me a wonderful panel. Starting, of course, all the way from Melbourne, Mr. Mohan Krishnaswamy. Starting all the way from Melbourne, here is Mr. Mohan. How are you, sir? How is it? How are you feeling today?
Very, very happy, very, very relieved. What a wonderful test match we had when one of our great heroes from India, from the Indian cricket team, got to a landmark 500 test. What more can we ask for?
Yeah, the only thing we can ask for more is that he should have been man of the match, but I think it was robbed.
This is asking for too much, PGK, okay?
No, well, he was robbed, but it's fine. It's okay. Let's look at the big picture today. India won the game, so who cares about individual performances?
This is where the Tamil lobby becomes a marriage hall itself.
Boss, you see who is on the pod today and talk about Tamil lobby after
Exactly.
that. Wait, I have a question for Hank before we even go further. Hank, are you happy as an Indian team supporter, or are you happy as somebody who lives in Australia that the Poms lost like this?
But we PGK and I can have a cage match on Bazball. I just don't like this entire English team approach. I don't like this Bazball at all. I wish Srinath was also here because Sripath and PGK could have had an Ashna cage match as well. But I'm going to have a cage match with him on Bazball. I'm really, really happy as an Indian team supporter and an anti-Bazballer, as well as Australian sort of resident, that England got whipped in this game. I'm super happy.
Let me say again for the record that I am ready for the cage match anytime, any place. But people like Srinath Sripath and people like Tony Sebastian are cowards, and they refuse to show up at the time and place that we decide, which is usually this podcast. So,
brothers and sisters in Christ, let me just tell you, of the three-man panel here, only two people on this panel have left the group fearing a cage match. So let me not
preempt anything.
All right. I also have to introduce cartographer, Mr. Karthik. Say hello. How are you feeling today, sir? I'm sure you are here just because of the special joy of watching England lose.
I have ascended to, if there were a ninth heaven, I've ascended to the ninth heaven. Not just the fact that England lost, which is great, but the fact that England lost in this way, which is even greater. But the greatest thing is that they set up all of this crap about Bazball and then they lost in this fashion. So it's just my cup of joy overflowing.
That is cartographer joining us from Kailasa, who's basically thrilled. Come on, friends, let's
Well,
dive in, as
I
they
just have to
say.
say this. Karthik is currently in Chennai.
That's
He's been sending us some pictures and postcards from various places in Chennai on the WhatsApp group. He had the ultimate honor of spending the last 24 hours with Ashna. Unfortunately, Ashna said, "No, that's enough for me," and went back to Rajkot to take the one wicket to
That's
close
right.
it.
That's right. Ashna said even family emergency is not enough to keep me grounded in this company. But yeah,
all right. I think we should just start off. Let's talk about the test match, friends. I know it's a glorious day. We are all happy. I know that I've, of course, been like very pro baseball, but even I am very happy. I mean, I like I said, I just enjoy baseball and I'm able to separate out performance on the field and how people do things and their approach from the garbage that people talk, which is something that I'm able to do with off spinners of India as well. I'm able to separate the two out in my head because I can see them separately. One can be very, very, very annoying, but the other can be really, really, really interesting and good.
I can
So,
see you're already forming your IIM entrance test GD based approach for this cage match, which may or may not happen.
yeah, I mean, this is what I used back there at the IIM, which is why they made a mistake of getting me in. But now here I am. Come on, friends, let's talk. What are all the wonderful, wonderful things about this test match? And of course, some of which we have summarized. We'll come to baseball in a bit, but I think we should just start off with this Indian team. When this test began, I remember all of us were basically quite understandably pessimistic, a completely inexperienced batting order. A lot of people who are just coming in, not really sure what's going on. I think we almost had like three people playing early tests. You had Patidar, you had Sarfaraz, you had Jurel, Sarfaraz and Jurel making their debuts. And it's not like Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill were in the greatest of form coming in either. So fantastic. Great. Jadeja coming back from injury. So this is one of those tests where you look and say, this is probably going to be difficult, especially on a pitch like this. But here we are.
Let's put things further into perspective. India with 33 for 3, was it? 34 for 3. And to come to this from that position, especially after the bucket onslaught or at the end of day 2, to come from that bucketing to this position whereby they actually wrapped it up with a lead, with a 434 run margin victory uh, just by the close of day 4 is nothing short of phenomenal. I can't think of other than, unfortunately, I say unfortunately, other than Patidar, who had a kind of an off test. I can't think of anyone that had a bad. There were phases when Ashwin got whacked around, Jadeja got whacked around a little bit, Siraj got thrashed around a little bit with the ball. Even Bumrah, I think there was one over in which he's kind of lost his shape a little bit. Of course, Kuldeep lost his shape in the when Bucket was going. Duckett was going completely crazy. So he's become his name in my head, and all that. But other than Patidar, who had sadly enough, I say sadly because he's a classy player. I think everyone had some real great moments. And I go back to this starting from base of 34 for 3. I think this result is quite an exciting one for India, given we had two debutants, one player who's playing his second test, and Jaiswal is only playing his what, sixth or seventh test, I think, not a lot. So and Gill is not in a kind of up and down kind of form. Jadeja coming back from injury, fantastic victory when you put all those things into perspective.
Yep. I mean, let's talk about what it really was, right? Which is basically this was two test matches or a test match of two halves, right?
Yep.
The first half, and we should actually talk even about prior to the test match, right? Like with Sarfaraz getting his test cap and all of the great scenes around that, and his dad and his wife and all of that. That was really, really heartwarming. But what that really did underscore even more, as you said, Mohan, right, was the youth of this side, right? The inexperience of this side, where you had two debutants, you had, the two other people who are not very experienced, and in general, missing people like Kohli and all of that. And I think till what they basically until that 200 for 2, right? England at 200 for 2
Well,
odd.
the root catch.
Right,
Root
exactly.
out.
Until
Yeah, yeah.
until
It was
until
the
I
morning
guess
of day 3. In the
right,
morning of day 3, they were at 200 for 2.
the Bazball brain fade, as it were, until the Bazball brain fade, right? at least they can hang their hat on something. Until that, basically, this test match didn't look like it was going, in a good direction for India. And then after that, it was a completely different story, right? After that, it basically became the India of the 2021 home series, right? It was just, you could tell, the script was just coming together nicely. It didn't matter whether it was experienced players, inexperienced players, whatever, right? And then today, of course, day 4 was just, the authority was stamped all across. So it was very interesting the way that the test turned. I think poor Joe Root might, have more responsibility for it than he wants to countenance. But yeah.
Yeah, I think that's actually a wonderful way to put it. Like, it is actually a test match of two halves, because the first half was almost like, okay, we have seen the script before. This is essentially something that we don't know how this is going to end. But yeah, the second half was just completely brutally familiar to Indian, players who've been, and Indian fans who've been watching it for such a long time. The beauty of the second half was that I think the thing that I enjoyed the most is that nobody can now come and talk about the pitch anymore. Because now when Jaiswal and Sarfaraz have like smashed you around at 6.5 and over for an entire session on that same pitch for you to come in, not even like next day morning, morning moisture, garbage, nothing. They're there in 10 minutes. 10 minutes later, they have just blown you away. And
So-
that is so beautiful. It's so heartwarming.
But even there, PGK, these English bombs will wind the shit out of the place, right? I can see Stuart Broad, every single wicket that was a line ball decision, he's going to say, oh, these guys fixed it and all that sort of stuff. They'll whine about everything, right? So we can expect them to whine. But the interesting thing is, there are lots of people coming out of the woodworks just shooting this Bazball shit out to smithereens. So it's damn good to see the English imploding on themselves. Cartography, you were saying something.
No, I was going to say the beautiful thing about Bazball, far be it from me to say something like that, and don't edit at this point and make it seem like I said the beautiful thing about Bazball. But the beautiful thing about Bazball is that it's there's this phrase in Latin, right, which I'm sure Hank is very familiar with, ceteris paribus, right? All else being equal. And the one thing that Bazball gives you, even if it doesn't give you anything else, is it gives you plenty of ceteris paribus in Test cricket, which means that if your batters are doing well on a pitch, England's batters are also going to bat on the same day on that pitch. You cannot whine about, oh, it's a day 4 pitch versus a day 5 pitch. Oh, it's session 1 versus session 3. Bazball does things in such a hurry that it's basically ceteris paribus all over the place. It's like, I did well here. What is your problem, right? So I think it was plentifully in view in this test match. And so that, I guess, we have to find some good things that we can say about Bazball. So that's my contribution.
And the only thing that I can, and just to add to what you said, Karthik, the only thing, and that was probably the only session when I was really a huge, well, not a convert, not a huge convert, but I was beginning to see it. Forget all the chatter about Bazball. Even if we win, even if we lose, it's a win. All that kind of shit, right? Let's forget all that. That's noise. The only time that, especially with the ceteris paribus paradigm, right? When Ollie Pope went nuts in the first test, that's exactly the point at which I said, wow, this works. Beyond that, I can't find a single point at which this approach, framework, whatever you want to call it, right, has actually worked. And it really irritates me to see the Indian commentators going gaga about it and really writing and talking nonsense about this entire approach. PGK, over to you. You've been ominously quiet.
No. I mean, see, look, I have been very clear about this, that I think that Bazball is just a wonderful thing for the game. It just makes the game exciting. It makes the game wonderful. I have never had any illusions of whether England would win, not win. Maybe they're winning. Maybe they seem like a happier team. It's good for Test cricket. It's more enjoyable. I think in that context, I just really like it. I think it was always very clear that you cannot just really uproot something that has been going on for like more than a century. Like test cricket basically has a certain ratio of risk versus reward. You can't just come and uproot it immediately. But what's going to happen is that you're going to have results like Hyderabad, and you're going to have results like this, which is what I suspect Ben Stokes will tell today in the press conference. That, oh, for us, like, you have to take the W with the L. Okay, the W was basically Hyderabad, which allowed us to win like that. But at the same time, we will lose like this, and we are not going to change our approach. Fine, good for you. Go for it. That's okay. But the other interesting thing, the second thing is that you could see the way how Indian players were approaching it. I think even in the past, Nitin and all have been talking about what is this big thing about Bazball. Virender Sehwag used to do this, Gilchrist used to do this. It's the same thing. No, it's not the same thing, because the difference is that in baseball, the whole team is trying a completely new mindset and approach of batting. But perhaps now it is evident that maybe the whole team does not have to play like this. Maybe some players playing like this in certain sessions is better with freeing your mind. And otherwise, in other places, maybe you should just close your mind, put it in your back pocket, and just stay on the pitch, which, by the way, now there is a lot of post facto this thing. Now, Nick Knight, I don't know how much money did people pay Nick Knight to basically be some unofficial ambassador of baseball. Today, for the entire day, like I rarely listen to commentary. Most of the time I'm on mute. But today, Nick Knight is like going on and on about baseball, saying, no, no, no. He said it multiple times. You think baseball is about aggressive cricket. It is not about aggressive cricket. It is
Right.
about being mindful cricket. It is about taking the intent.
No.
It is about evaluating the situation. And sometimes that means like playing to this. I'm like, that is cricket, dude. That is nothing like that. That is fucking cricket, right? Normal people do that. What nonsense.
It's like a yoga. It's like a yoga ashram, right? Which is trying hard not to be a yoga ashram and calling it mindfulness and all that.
Yeah,
sort of
like
stuff.
people say that, no, be in the moment.
No.
I am. Where else am I? Which other moment can I be? I mean, here only. No.
Speaking of paying Nick Knight, nobody's paying Nick Knight. They have to pay us to listen to Nick Knight. So if anything, the causality is in the other direction. But wait, hang on. So you guys know my proclivity for bringing history into things. I actually did research for this. Research
Oh my God.
TM, which is, right? This is, for bits and pieces, this is a groundbreaking thing. So episode 111, this is the Nelson episode, right?
Sorry,
Now,
I just have to say that we may have to pay Karthik now. Okay.
I know,
he's
that's
got
right. Yeah, this is
research
the-
and all. Okay, so we have to
this,
pay
this,
him now.
this,
Sorry,
this is
sorry,
the,
continue.
this is the Substack of BNP episodes. You have to, subscribe to. Well, why should I say Substack? Maybe there is an Indian context that I can mention. Perhaps a paid subscription that people pay to read. Anyway, yeah. So, who is the
Somehow we
most?
have to monetize this, Karthik. I'm trying hard in the Tamil VN groups. It's not happening. But at least here in the Substack, let's try and do it.
Mohan, yes, we can. Yes, we can. Anyway, so so the most famous Nelson in British history, believe it or not, is not 111. It's not David Shepherd jumping up for 111. It is Vice Admiral Nelson, Lord Nelson, whatever, Horatio Nelson, etc. Right? And there are all these like, valorous tales, and he is sort of lionized as, whatever, the epitome of naval victory and things like that. Now, I want to share something, and I think we'll put this link up, we'll put it up with the show notes. And also because to tell you guys that I don't know any of this stuff offhand, I have more, I'm less jobless than that. I'm going to share a Wikipedia page here, and then I'm going to read from the Wikipedia page. And,
You shared. We will share everything and put it up on YouTube except your face.
Yeah.
ET,
That will
yes.
cover with-
Bring the
Nitin is not here. We can happily share.
Okay, so Lord Nelson, apparently one of the things that's credited to him is this speech that goes, England expects that every man will do his duty. And you guys do your duty and read this in the context of events that have happened, right?
Oh my
So
God.
specifically, let me read this quote from one John Pascoe. His lordship, meaning Lord Nelson, his lordship comes to me on the poop, and poop here means the poop deck of a ship. It doesn't mean poop as in tutty, as in baseball, but his lordship came to me on the poop. Open quote. His lordship came to me on the poop, and after ordering certain signals to be made about 1:45 he said, "Mr. Pascoe, I wish to say to the fleet, England confides that every man will do his duty." And he added, "You must be quick, for I have one more of which to make, which is for close action." And it goes on and on and on. But basically, this is to say that baseball is not something that's new. The English have a long history of going out and making quick work of whatever it is, the battle, the cricket, whatever it is, and then dying at the end of it, whether they win the match or not. So I just wanted to make the case that, baseball is not an original thought. It's been going on in English history for many, many years. And it's a nice tie-up to our episode 111. I do hope this is episode 111 after doing all this research. It'll turn out to be like 112 or something.
Brilliant. It's okay. Otherwise, we will like remove 111 and we'll upload
That's
this
right.
only. We'll
Correct.
revise history. That is like the vogue right now in India anyways.
We'll put 5 penalty runs to the episode number also. Anyway, that's
how brilliant was that five run out, 5 penalty runs that Ashwin gave to England, and therefore made them complacent.
So I must actually clarify 2 things. Okay, first is that it is not Ashwin who gave 5 penalty
I know,
runs,
2.5.
he was this thing. Well, not 2.5, although less than that, because they have been. So I actually didn't watch the match the previous day. I was busy, but then later I went out and looked at highlights. I read up a bit. I'm like, what is going on here? Why is everyone so upset? So apparently, the previous day, the England players have been complaining to the umpire all day that
Yep.
the Indian players are running onto the middle. They're running onto the middle. Apparently, when Sarfaraz was batting, he took a couple of steps and they were like, hey, 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 hey. They all were like, look, what is it doing? And then Jadeja did it. Then again, there's this thing. So of course, when Ashwin comes, he either he knows or he does not know, whatever. But then he takes a couple of steps, and they're like, "Okay, macha, 5 penalty runs they give." And you can see Ashwin is like arguing and remonstrating with the umpire, saying, "What is this?" And he's heard in the stump mic saying that you should at least
Give
cut
me a
some
warning.
slack. He uses the words "cut some slack" because you're
Mm.
like, "What is this? Like, you can't just do it." And the umpire, of course, had to inform him that, "Boss, this has been going on for 1.5 days. You didn't know. What can I do?" So
Yeah,
that has
but
happened.
no. First correction. On day one, Jadeja has already been warned. So he was
Correct.
warned already. And
Correct.
that's when Ashwin did. And his thing was cut me some slack. The full quote is cut me some slack because my motor skills are pretty poor.
Okay, we don't know. This podcast may be fact or fiction. We're not sure. But
No,
anyway,
he
I
actually
remember the
says
cut
it
me some.
No,
in
no,
his
no. There
presser
is
later
that's
on.
his quote.
He
Yeah,
actually
He
yeah, yeah.
says
said
About
it.
that.
motor
He actually
motor
says
skills.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
Except he said
Now
motor.
we
Oh,
don't know.
Ashwin,
We don't know
you
if
should
he
not
meant
make.
run. We don't know if he meant running on the pitch or TVS Luna type motor skills. But
Yeah,
that's a
yeah. But
different.
these are all confessions you should not make on the record. But anyway, it's true. But still.
I think he
So
was
that's
actually
one.
having a laugh at himself, but it got taken out of context and made everyone was serious about it. Never mind.
So that's one. Now, the second thing is that, assuming that this is true and Ashwin knew that, okay, there is going to be these 5 penalty runs, etc., technically, he could have just come onto the pitch. I think when great cricketer mentioned this, he could have come onto the pitch with a hammer. Okay, and
Hammer.
he could have
Yeah.
just beaten the pitch with a hammer and they would have given him 5 penalty runs and he'd be like, full, fine, done.
Or just
But
scratch the pitch or something like that.
yeah, you can just like rub the page, come with the hammer, beat it up, destroy it, and then say, "Sir, give 5 penalty runs."
Give five.
Because
What is that?
laws of the cricket does not allow you to do anything else beyond giving 5 penalty runs. Later he may get some fine and all that stuff, but 5 penalty runs is all that is there. So this actually proves more than anything else, gentlemen, that Ashwin understands and respects spirit of the cricket. This is the actual proof of it.
This
Because he knows spirit of the cricket, he's like, he did not come with the
Amma.
hammer despite knowing the rules and breaking the pitch.
Amma, ayo.
Guys.
This is like the thing. You guys have seen the old Mahabharata, right? Where in the war they'll have two arrows that come and sort of clash with each other. So one arrow is Bazball, the other one is Spirit of Cricket. I was just waiting for Spirit of Cricket to also get introduced into this
It
conversation.
has to be
Full cage
introduced into
match.
this.
Full cage
But
match.
seriously, this is there are a couple of things crazy about this, right? The English players were in the ear of the umpire all the time about this running on the pitch.
Correct.
They themselves ran on the pitch a couple of times, which is never pointed out. Of course, it's good for India that they're running on the pitch. Let them run. What the hell? So there is, in general. So that's something that we need to talk about, perhaps in a separate episode. There is an air of mistrust that will eat up the English even before they play cricket. That air of mistrust that says, "Oh, that's no way that's three reds." That's just talks about a general air of mistrust, and they've basically lost the game even before they've entered the pitch. That's
Ha.
really the problem with the entire approach, right?
I mean, that is actually the only way Bazball crumbles.
Correct.
The whole thing is held together by a very abstract and an arcane belief in something. No one knows what it is. It's an abstract belief. So the only way it crumbles is everyone loses belief, which is what is slowly happening. So you see now I'm sure Root is sitting at night, lying in his bed, staring at the ceiling and wondering, maybe I should not do that reverse scoop. No, why do it? Who cares?
Correct.
Let it be.
So
Okay.
the first is loss of belief and then mistrust in the system. There is a third thing, which I think the Indians also got. And that's going to be my last contribution in terms of analysis of what happened in this game. The thing that happened is suddenly on the third morning, the Indian bowlers discovered denial. Bazball doesn't work under denial, right? It works when you feed Bazball.
Sorry, Mohan, just to be clear, you're not talking about the river that flows from Alexandria all the way down to They did not discover the Nile.
Oh, I was wondering who will be the first one to
Indeed,
pick
yeah.
on that one. No, it doesn't work under denial, right? So the moment you had Jadeja bowling a negative line today, he was actually bowling 3, 4, 5 stumps outside off stump. Jadeja rarely does that. Rarely bowls 4 stumps outside the off stump. He was doing that constantly today. Basically, that's one way to choke. So you have mistrust on the one hand. you have a crumbling of belief, and then you have denial. There was one over of Siraj. He bowled bouncer after bouncer after bouncer after bouncer, 5 balls, sixth ball straight on the stumps, LBW gone. So that's the only way you can, and I think the Indians have got it. And this is my way, my position, and my situation to plug in wall bro greater than greater than greater
Oh
than.
my God. Wait, but hang on. So Mohan, I'm actually very glad that you brought up denial, because ironically, it so happens that the OG who took it to the English, the OG man born in Rajkot, who also discovered that denial is the best thing that works against the English, right?
I know.
So it just so happens that those were experiments with truth. These are experiments with line and length. But yes, always works against the English. Yes.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant.
But okay, actually, one more thing I want to talk about is the
PGK, you're on
bizarre.
mute.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
You're on mute, PGK.
Sorry. Go on.
No. One more thing I wanted to bring up was the bizarre quote from, was it Bucket at the end of, I think, yesterday,
Yes.
where he said,
Yes.
we take credit for, I mean, of course, I'm liberally paraphrasing here, but, Jaiswal and the Indians would not have played the way they had if we had not, upped the tempo, up the ante, up the whatever, up the arse with Bazball. And so, thoughts on that?
I mean,
Yeah,
like I
even
said,
today,
it's
I didn't
such-
listen to the end of match presser from Ben Stokes. I'm sure
I'll
he would have
I'll
said
talk
something.
about that. I'll talk about
Okay.
that. But so I think that's one thing that I wanted to say, because while we had started recording like almost like 5-10 minutes after the match ended, so we have missed the post match conference. So obviously I'll just talk about, and I'll share my screen again, and you can see. Look at the quote from Ben Stokes. Now this is on Crick Info, so I don't know if Ben Stokes said more things beyond this, but so I only know what's there on Crick Info at this point. And his quote is, Ben Duckett played unbelievable innings. That's the tone that we wanted to set. It was all about identifying opportunity to score and push up to their total. With how the wicket was going, we wanted to push it on as long as we could, but sometimes that doesn't work out. Opinions in the dressing room are the ones that matter to us. We are 2-1 down in the series, but still have 2 games left. We leave this game behind. No, we got to win in the next 2 to win the series. Gentlemen, what is missing in this bloody quote? Okay.
Can we,
the one.
Sorry, go ahead, PGK, go ahead. It's fine.
No, you should go ahead too.
I just want to say, can we just read the first 2 lines of Robro's quote also right below that?
We'll come to that.
Anyway, go ahead.
But in Ben Stokes' thing, I'm saying what is missing? The one thing that is missing that people used to do when they lose test matches is to come in and say, the other team played well.
Exactly.
Congratulations, well played. Nothing. Fuck
But
you.
this is
okay.
PGK. This is my problem with Bazball, because it's so inwardly focused. It's so insular. It doesn't care about what the other team is doing. We are here to play cricket. The other players are playing kabaddi.
So
Karth, do you want to read Rohit Sharma?
I will.
In Rohit Sharma voice.
I don't know if I can do Robro voice, but before we get to that, I want to finish this discussion on, the English and their rather questionable lack of grace. So this is one more. We seem to. Can I share my?
It's
screen
not questionable,
again?
by the way. It's very established, but continue.
Very English also. Wait, PGK, I need to share my screen for this again. This is
Go for it. 1 minute.
Research heavy. Share this tweet, which all of you have seen, by my good friend Siri Srinivas at PJobs.
Of course.
Of course. So the tweet is, for those, the few of you who have lived under a rock. How do you speak such good English? I don't know. 200 years of colonialism and Eurocentric education. How do you know so little history? Replace English with Bazball. That's literally what is going on in this entire context, right? It's like Yashasvi Jaiswal came out. He beat the English at their own game. Net result being, you have a Ben Stokes presser where apparently he's not even conceding the fact that there was another team of 11 players out there, and one of them actually scored enough runs to single-handedly beat England's scores in both the innings, right?
Yeah.
So again, one of those things. But yes, go ahead. You can share the Robro quote again.
We should go back to Robro, and who wants to read in the best Robro voice? Okay, fine.
We'll all try. Each of us try one sentence in Robro voice.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll start, I guess. When you play test cricket, you don't play it in 2 or 3 days. You have to stay in the game for 5 days. Yeah, they played good shots and put us under pressure, but we got class in our squad when it comes to bowling.
I think Robro's spoken enough for both the captains here.
Yeah. So obviously the message was to stay calm. Important the time to stay calm. Otherwise you drift. Wo hai na?
Like me.
Okay.
I think just the first line, right? It's like, Arey, When you play Test cricket, you don't play it in 2 or 3 days. That's it. That's enough to like shut up all of the English. It's like, oh man, it's just bro is bro. I think this is bro's biggest contribution to this game, by the way. This post-match quote. Correct me if I'm
absolutely.
wrong.
Absolutely. I think he's also basically said, the rest of the quote goes things like, by no means is it some long time plan with the batting order. We go what is right for us in the test match, including calculating what the opponent's bowling attack is. Well, I think that doesn't have
Calculating, it
much to
seems.
do, but sure. Good, nice. So I think Ravindra Jadeja became man of the series, and basically he says what Ravindra Jadeja always says, which is like, watch the ball, play the ball, put ball in good area.
Can I just point to one
Yes.
element in Robro's quote, which I think is
Yes.
really important. Again, we go back to giving grace, accepting both defeat and victory with grace. He talks about how the English batters onslaught could have keeled them over and so on. So once we won the toss, that was a good toss to win. We know runs on the board is important for India. The lead was also crucial for us. The way we came out to bowl after the English batters onslaught, it was important to stay calm. So he recognized that there was an onslaught over there, and he paid maybe not enough but adequate dues to the fact that they really played incredibly well on day two. And that's where I think some of my disappointment personally comes into the way we tend to watch cricket in India. Yes, they were phenomenal, but it's not as if we bowled badly. They were phenomenal. And that's essentially the balance, that sometimes perspective that's missing sometimes in our commentary on the way we play our game itself. Those two batters batted immensely well, especially Duckett. I mean, I'm not a big fan of his style of play, but that day he played amazingly well. And it's not as if we bowled badly.
Yep, absolutely. Cool, fantastic. Also have to give passing mention to the fact that, I mean, of course, we've been making some fun and good games about it, but Ashwin was not on the field for almost like a day and a half or so, due to he had a personal emergency. He had to fly back to Chennai. We hope everything is okay, and he's back. So on that note, look forward to see him hopefully back for the other two test matches as well. So but the fact that you could do all of that without him anywhere around you, especially at that 200-foot morning. That is the morning when you find out that news, and then you basically have to come out and bowl. So that is like simply exceptional. So I
PGK, there was a comment in our group that turnaround happened because he was not there. What do you say to that?
I would argue that this 434 win happened despite Kohli not being there. Why do we need Kohli back, guys? Okay, is it a good time? Think about it. Kohli was not there in Australia series. We won Australia series. Kohli is not there in this series. We winning this series. Do we need Kohli? Is the real question. That is the question.
Good
the
point.
nation will not ask tonight, but I am asking that.
But if I'm only being partially serious now. If Jaiswal, Gill, and Sarfaraz, I was so impressed with Sarfaraz in the first innings.
Yeah.
My God, how composed, how brilliant he was. The second innings was a bit all over the place, but it's okay because they were going for some crazy runs and so on. But the first innings, his composure, his calmness, I mean, he knew exactly what he was doing there on his first innings in Test cricket. Amazing. If you have players like that, we're cool.
We have to talk a little bit about Sarfaraz. It's not just the innings itself, but even the build up to it. So I think after a long time, you're basically seeing so much of press and PR and people talking about someone making their debut. And the thing is that a lot of people who follow only the IPL and don't follow Ranji cricket and Test cricket probably don't understand the enormity of this. And I think I have to give credit to whoever was involved. Maybe it was even the BCCI for actually giving it its due credit and deserving that thing. And a lot of people who are watching it also took that narrative, went forward. There was a time when I was like looking on Instagram that day, and I could only see like videos of Sarfaraz and his father. Incidentally, over the weekend, I went to my parents' place, and my dad, who watches cricket as well, not as much as Max's dad. He doesn't have like so much like enthusiasm for Bazball, but he watches and he's like a big this thing. And he tells me, like when the game was just after that day was done, when I reached there, he was like, that guy Sarfaraz is good. Okay, I mean, like, but I hadn't. What is the deal? I mean, like, he's very good, and that's when I had to say that you don't know him. Have you? He said I'd never heard of him until this
Mhm.
day,
Wow.
and yeah, he had never heard of him until that day.
Hmm.
So it's only us who are watching cricket and see it through Ranji and all of these other things in our bubble. We know it. But I
All
think
right.
most people were just blown away because they had no idea who this guy was and where he came from. And then, of course, there was a lot of chatter in the beginning that why is he getting so much like press? Why is he getting so much like coverage? What is this? And then, of course, then you realize that, oh, there is a very strong and a very powerful backstory behind this, which he also showed and displayed in his performance. So, which I thought was
So,
like
so
very
hang on.
nice.
Now, this is a lot of people generally assume that I pull a fast one about not following IPL. I genuinely don't. So hence, here's the question about Sarfaraz and the IPL. A, I'm assuming he plays the IPL, and B, I'm assuming he plays well in the IPL. So how come people don't
No,
know?
he played a bit, but then he didn't play a bit. And when he played, also it was like little it was like not very. I don't think he played continuously for a series of games. Number one, and I think number two, I don't think he left a very strong mark in the IPL. It wasn't like you don't remember him. First of all, the whole fucking IPL is one blur at the end of the tournament.
Oh, thank
So
you.
what do you remember at the end of it? You basically remember, oh, and usually you remember only the standout stars. You remember like a
Mhm.
Rinku Singh, you remember like a Tewatia, you remember like you had that one innings at least, and regrettably Venkatesh Iyer. So people like that is who you remember, and because you remember that, you try to shove them into places. So I don't think Sarfaraz ever made such a strong impression.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, across the IPL. Is that
He
true?
Yeah, I
plays
think
for
I think
You
RCB,
watch
right? He plays
no,
for
he was.
RCB.
I think last season he was a DC. No, he was a Delhi.
Oh, okay. All right.
He was.
see the fact that we ourselves are not very
Yeah,
sure.
I
Uh,
I think the IPL the moment it ends it's a blur. But making your point, Mohan, which I suspect, like Ashna, this is the reason that you even brought up this whole discussion to make me and PGK both admit on air that IPL is not something that anybody remembers or cares about. But no, I think it was overshadowed last season anyway because Rishabh Pant was the big story of the season. Him missing out and all of that stuff. And this is, if my memory serves me right, but I think every episode of BNP has to have an editor's note. So most likely he didn't play for DC, and we have to correct it now. But anyway,
Whatever. It doesn't really matter.
it's
No,
yeah.
you are right. So I don't know his scores. I'll tell you his scores. But the thing is that in 2015 he played for RCB at a price of 50 lakhs. 2016 he continued again 50 lakhs. 2017 he was injured and he
Mm.
received 12.5 lakhs. 2018 his salary went up to 3 crores. But after that, from 2019 to 21, he was in Punjab Kings and he was 25 lakh rupees. 2022 to 2023, he was at DC and he remains at 20 lakhs. So he is not a
Mm.
high
But
earning star at
right.
the IPL, irrespective of his scores.
But part of this, guys, I'll tell you what. At least this is my personal hypothesis or theory on this, right? Part of this is also the BCCI getting more savvy about storylines in general, right? So this kind of thing, this kind of Sarfraz story, a person who's been playing outside of the pale of, almost got selected for national, but not quite for so much time. And then, of course, all of the story, and then focusing on his family and his father and all of that. 30 years back or even 20 years back, right? This would have become a footnote in a book written 20 years after Sarfraz maybe retired after a one test career, right?
Correct.
Whereas now, I think the BCCI has figured out the power of the narrative, right? The power of the story, which again, American sports has figured this out, 50, 60 years back, right? And now it's like, not just with the IPL, but also with test cricket, with ODIs, whatever it is, it just like we like to say matchups, right? In games, it's also about storylines now, right? It's about what can we put out there as content for our viewers. And I think this is something that really sort of reverberated, right? This is something that really a lot of people identified with I mean, even if you look at the whole, giving the cap to the debut players, ceremonies, and all of that, right? They make a pretty good deal out of it. They have nice production values and all of that. And they know that in this sort of social media age and all of that, these are the kinds of bites that kind of people want, right?
That said, that said, the Karthik, the only I agree. I agree with everything that you've said. The only problem that I have is while they have these neat arcs for the struggling player who's had to work really hard, like it started with Siraj, and then you had Yashasvi Jaiswal, of course Sarfraz, who's had a long wait and all that sort of stuff. That doesn't quite translate into, let's say, a Gill who's had a very privileged and somewhat entitled, that arc doesn't quite transfer across to that part of the story. There is a story there too, a story of hard work and story of dedication and so on. Somehow it only plays out. So the more BCCI gets players like Sarfaraz, like Siraj, but there's nothing on Jurel, right? We don't know anything about Jurel. I'd love to hear about what his struggle was. For example, I think, if I'm not mistaken, we can fact check this. Pammo was here. He would have fact checked this even before I completed the sentence. I think he's 23 years old, but he's only played a handful of first class games.
Yes, he's only played 15 games. I
15
checked
games,
this
okay.
before this.
All right. So he's only
yeah.
played, I thought it was 13 or 14, but 15. 15 is still a
15
very
games.
small number of games.
Yeah.
I'm thinking he's 23. We haven't really heard a lot of him in the under 19 sort of scene and so on. What's the story? There must be a good story there. What's the story? I've been reading up on this in the last week or so. Very little stuff on him. Very little stuff. Apart from heroics in, was it Rajasthan Royals that he played for last season?
He played, but again, I don't remember him
Mild
having
heroics.
like
Okay,
major
mild
heroics.
heroics.
No, even that I'm not sure. Maybe I think remember he played like few games only. He didn't play
Okay.
all the games.
All
He
right.
played a
So
few,
there
but
are
he was
only
okay. That's about it.
handful of articles here and there. But there is something which is a really good interest story, which is, you're 23 by now. If you're an Indian cricketer, 23, you've played a truckload of games already.
Yeah.
What's happening here? Right. So there is that kind of, maybe he doesn't come from a really downtrodden family and really didn't have to struggle moving cities and all that sort of stuff, because that is the traditional well-worn narrative that BCCI peddles all the time. Anyway. But it's a good one for Sarfaraz, for, of course, Yashasvi writes itself, and
Yeah.
Siraj.
Yeah. I think now the only thing that we can now talk about a little is about what this test means and the performance in this test means for a bunch of players who were on the fringes, who were basically like had a foot in, didn't have a foot in. So I feel like the road for Shreyas Iyer becomes much, much harder now for him to come back into the team.
Yeah.
I feel like the role for KS Bharat becomes much, much harder now to come back into the team. So thoughts, guys, on both of these players?
And then there is one more. I
And
think
we should
Prasidh
talk
Krishna
about
is done, and Umesh as well is also done.
I mean, Prasidh and Umesh were anywhere like eclipsed before this test. We didn't need this test to prove that.
I just wanted to
I
add
think
those two players to prove a broader point. Never mind.
fair point. I think a third thing that we should talk about these two, and then third, we should talk about the mystery of Ishan Kishan and what is going on there, because that is so weird. But we should talk about it. Come on, friends. Shreyas Iyer, KS Bharat.
Yeah.
What's the way back?
Sadly, both gone, because
Yeah.
Jurel, I think, will keep his place even when Pant comes back, because Pant will not come back as a keeper in my view. But he'll come back as a batsman. So Jurel keeps his place. He's got I think he's got it there. And the confidence that Sarfaraz gave me, I've not felt that level of confidence in seeing any player other than, and after Kohli, he's the first one.
Yeah.
I think some of this, look, all of this I would agree with if we were going to play all of our tests in the next 2-3 years at home, right?
Okay.
Some of this I think will have to be tempered with, and it's not, I'm not trying to make a case about like technique or anything like that, right?
Yeah.
I think these players can play on any surface in any venue. I think they have the temperament for it. What they don't have is the experience, right? What they don't have is when things are not going your way, you're in Durban or you're in somewhere in New Zealand where the pitch and the outfield look the same color, and
Hey, wait! Don't say somewhere in New Zealand. We have to tell the name. What is that place? Mount Mangunui.
Mount Manangati, something. Anyway, so yeah, so that is when because like these all of the newcomers who are coming, for better or for worse, Hank, because of the IPL and other leagues, right? Well, no other leagues for Indian players, unfortunately, but because of the IPL, they can hold their own with all of the players and all of that. But what they still don't have is the experience of being down and out, right? So, for example, even if you take Sarfaraz, I'll just finish. Even if you take Sarfaraz, if he had come in at a different stage, let's say he had come in at 34 for 3, 34 for 4, right? Which he didn't, right? There was a little bit of a buffer before he came in the first innings, right? Things could have gone a lot more different, right? And so with that caveat, I agree with everything that you're saying with, Shreyas Iyer and, yeah.
Right. The one addition that I'll make, I agree completely, Karthik. I mean, we are in violent agreement. And you talked about experience, and you talked about the number of games people play overseas, in overseas conditions and so on. Sarfaraz has done a bit of that. Jaiswal has proved himself, of course, albeit in West Indies, and a little bit we saw in South Africa. There's one player who has not come into and not broken into the mix yet, and I think he should, and that's Ishwaran. People will shout the hell
Lobby, lobby, lobby.
lobby
Hashtag
exactly
lobby.
and all that. But Abhimanyu Ishwaran, the guy has played so many India A games in South Africa, in Australia, in England. All I don't know about England, but definitely Australia. He's proved himself
Ishwaran
in
is an
all of
opener,
these
right?
places. Well, yes, technically, but he can play, in the middle order as well. He's played in some of the
Well,
India
Rohit is
games.
not going to play forever, so it's just
Correct.
a matter of time, I think.
All I could say is I hope Abhimanyu Ishwaran doesn't become the Badri of this generation, God willing. But yeah, anyway, yeah.
Then we have trouble lobby outside the cricket team, inside the cricket team also. Very good. I like it.
Yeah.
Oh, but speaking of lobby, today one of the best parts of the game today that was going on was when Jaiswal and Sarfaraz were batting. And at that time, it didn't really look like Sarfaraz was making his debut and Jaiswal has been playing this game, at least in the Indian team, for like a few tests. It really looked like the other way around. There were like times where they were trying to take a run, they couldn't take a run, and then Sarfaraz is saying something, Jaiswal is saying something back, and you're like, what is going on? Why are you guys like at each other's throats? And then you remember, oh, these two play for Bombay together. Okay, fine. So they have probably seen this a lot. So then I calmed down and I was like, oh, okay, they know each other. So they're probably
And
like
what's more,
admonishing each other.
in the Bombay setup, Sarfaraz is a senior.
Exactly. So then I realized, oh, they have a relationship. So when one guy says, hey, chutiya, so it's like, fine, okay, this is normal, par for the course. These two guys are doing this. But it was such a wonderful thing to watch. Like when Jaiswal gets the double 100, when he's running back for the double 100, like two people had their arms aloft. One was Jaiswal and the other was Sarfaraz. So Sarfaraz had his arms aloft when he was running across as well. So it's very beautiful to watch. So it's nice. I think it's a good mix now. Mumbai lobby is back, baby. Mumbai lobby is back.
I think it is. I think it is.
I just, speaking of arms aloft, I just want to contrast this scene with Ashna at the T20 against Pakistan in the T20 World Cup, where only he had his arms aloft as he took India home of his one of two balls, of which, of course, the wide was a big contribution.
Hey, the wide, okay. That was like the best thing that he ever did. By the way, Jared Kimber did a video on Ashwin after the 500 wicket. Like it is this, whatever, the standard analysis that he does for Ashwin and his legacy and all that. And he starts the video with the wide that he basically left off Shadab Khan. I'm like, wow, this is what he's going to be remembered for. But interesting on that arms aloft thing at that match, because at that game, you can see when they run, Kohli is like down on the pitch. Kohli is crying. When he's not crying, he's almost close to tears. He's stunned. He's like punching the pitch and he's like gone completely. And Surya Kumar Yadav has managed to make it all the way from the dugout to the center. Ashwin is nowhere to be seen. Ashwin is running somewhere. Then finally,
victory lap.
Oh, wait. Yeah, exactly. Victory lap.
I was
Wait a
there.
minute.
I was
Kohli
there.
is the one who did.
I was with Adi at the MCG during that match, and I'm saying, I kind of remember there was bedlam. Everyone was shouting crazy. You could barely hear your own voice. And I'm saying to him, Ashwin is doing an Imran Tahir over there.
we should do this experiment. Somebody with more time on their hands. We should do a side by side of Ashna's reaction after hitting those winning runs and Arjuna Rantunga's reaction after hitting that winning, the glide to third man of
Right.
Australia in 1996. I bet you Ashwin had his arms aloft with much more exuberance than Ranatunga had at any point. So, yeah.
From
Anyway.
where we came here.
Fun.
Who knows?
Good.
All right.
The one
Good
other thing
fun.
that we have to talk about is the run out of Sarfaraz, I think.
Oh, man.
Sure. Okay. I think there were multiple runouts we have to talk about. I think one is that, and the other is, didn't Kuldeep run out somebody? Who did Kuldeep run out?
Kuldeep today.
Today? Yesterday?
Gil.
At 91, on 91.
Gil.
Yeah.
91,
right.
correct. Exactly.
Right.
So we have two runouts.
No, and also Bucket. We have to talk about Bucket's run out as well.
We'll come
What
to
an
Bucket
amazing!
run out, which is
All three
more
of
fun.
them were superb. All three of them.
Yeah. I think one question that's pretty evident now is that you had a very inexperienced team. We were all worried, will they be able to bat and all. Turns out they can bat. They just don't know how to call each other for runs because that understanding they don't have with each other.
Excuse me, can I
It's
just say that the guy who took his 500 wicket, not like he's great at running either. There's an entire legendary cricket 4 piece on this by Mr. Sidin Wadukut. But anyway.
No, fair. I am not. I will not defend Ashwin's running. Okay, it's fine. But calling running into the wicket, something of weird and it's always at the same position. It's always at mid-on. They always hit it to mid-on, mid-off, that place where Ben Stokes is standing. And then they're like, run, no run, no run, run, then they come back, then boom, somebody's gone. So yeah, any thoughts?
All three. So first thing, all three of them, the fielding was quite wonderful, right? Siraj's fielding, although the throw was questionable, the fielding was exceptional. Ben Stokes in the first one when Sarfaraz got run out, I think it was Ben Stokes again, quite amazing.
Yeah, I don't agree. It's not about the fielding. There was no run in that at all. Like even in the other one where Kuldeep runs out Gill, there was no run in that. So I think some of them there were
No, I
actually
think some
no
of-
run in that.
No, I
I
think some
agree.
of this confusion, and you mentioned it, right? Mid on, mid off. I think some of it has to do with the fact that people, I mean, not just this test match, right? But people are attacking the ball much more in those positions now, right? And it's one of those things where it's very tough to judge, right? Whether there is actually a run in this or not. Like in the past, you could assume that mid on or mid off, they'll wait for the ball to come to them, and then you can kind of make that judgment call. Because if you notice, like in the bucket run out today, right? In today's play,
Siraj just attacked the ball. He
attacked the
ran.
ball, and the problem was it was always Duckett's call because he hit it and he was running towards quote unquote the danger end, right? And the problem was the guy at the other end, Crawley, right? He was watching the ball. He was not
Ball.
listening to his partner, right? He was not responding. And then the guy was halfway down the pitch. He may as well have continued to the dressing room at that point. So yeah.
But
But
and that's the point, right? The point is the fielders are attacking the ball much
Yes.
more aggressively,
yes,
and sometimes the player who shouldn't be ball watching is actually ball watching,
Mm.
and it resulted in this comedy that that happened. If you look, and there is another problem. The other problem is with the Jadeja run when Sarfaraz got run out. I think, and you'll see this happening a bit more because of, I think maybe because of T20 or whatever. They're hitting the ball much harder at the fielders. So already the ball is traveling fast. It's the fielder is attacking. So they have lesser time to complete the run. Sarfaraz just overcommitted to that run. Poor fellow.
Somewhere
And
Sunnyji has got up at night and said, soft hands. Soft hands. Soft hands. Bingo.
basically what we're saying. Oh
Look
my
who's
God, look
here.
at this. Look who's here.
Oh, hi.
Hey guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are welcomed by our fourth panelist who decided to join us abruptly in the middle of 1 hour into the podcast. Everyone say hello to Mr. Iman Pandey, who's joining us from a beach.
Hey, man. Acha, we just finished almost entire discussion of this test match, and we concluded that in the next test, Jurel will play as a batsman and KSB will come as a keeper.
यार इसके लिए आप लोगों ने 1 घंटा लगा लिया हैं?
Not only that, we think that because Bumrah might be tired, we might give Prasidh Krishna a go in the next test match. What do you think about that?
अभी क्या
First of all,
बोले
do you think Bumrah will be tired in the next test match?
हाँ टायर तो हो गया ना वो
Tired तो हो
तो अब
गया.
क्या करें? Shami is injured.
हाँ सारे स्पिनर्स है ऑल फुल स्पिनर्स कर लेंगे हम
Guys, everyone is saying all of this. We are discussing KSB, we're discussing Jurel about keepers and all. Can nobody understand and realize we are playing in Ranchi, people,
I
right?
know.
This is the perfect time to bring back India's greatest wicketkeeper ever to come
Ishan
back and
Kishan.
keep. See, वैसे भी, look, in this test we played 10 people and won. So next test also we can play 10 people and win. No, why do we need 11? It's fine.
नहीं ईशान किशन को कहाँ लेके आएंगे यार
Ishan Kishan को कहाँ ले गया?
Ishan Kishan will be shooting Bhojpuri movie in Ranchi. We're not talking about Ishan Kishan here. Which we shoot, by the way. He missed that Ranji match even after all the summons from the court and all that crap.
Correct. Yeah.
I think
Ishan
it's-
Kishan
it's-
is in a tough place.
It's
I
in a
think
tough
Ishan
place.
Kishan-
He's going through some tough times. I don't know what it is.
Oh,
Yeah.
I wish someone goes and maybe we can send Choppy to go and cuddle him or something like that. He needs some real deep Rangoli business. Yeah, he seems to be in a very tough place at the moment. Hopefully he gets the.
But Iman, please tell us what is your big takeaways, insights, LinkedIn post about this test match?
यार लिंक्डइन पोस्ट तो एक ही है कि यू गॉट टू हायर फॉर एटीट्यूड and not for talent to say. Because तुम क्या है talent देख के KSB को उठाए थे, तुम एटीट्यूड नहीं देखे थे उसका, कुछ नहीं उस बंदे में, नथिंग. शोएब अख्तर क्या बोलेगा उसको? What will शोएब अख्तर tell to somebody like KSB? यार इसको फेंटे मारना ही नहीं आता. जब किसी को फेंटे मारना नहीं आता, how can he be in the playing 11? So my learnings have been that from this particular series कि यार you not from this particular match is कि यार तुम सरफू खिलाओ, because सरफू obviously फेंटे मार सकता है, वो छक्के छक्के छगड़ा सकता है उसका किसी का भी. जुरेल भी, उसको पहले इनिंग्स में तो he was not able to keep at all. वो कीपर नहीं था पहले इनिंग्स में, ऐसे ही आ गया वो. सेकंड इनिंग्स में he turned into a keeper. या चलो उसको याद आया, ओ मैं तो कीपिंग करने भी आया हूँ, क्योंकि आई एम नॉट, मेरे को बैटिंग नहीं मिला तो मे बी आई नीड टू कीप, तो वो आ गया. यस, माय बिगेस्ट gain, like I think Indian cricket's biggest gain has been that US Sarfaraz and Yashasvi was the real combo, the best ever partnership that I've seen, and the best ever batting pair after Ganguly and Sachin.
My
I
God.
don't know which is more outrageous, the current one or the previous one you're comparing.
You
with.
see,
But
he could
okay,
have,
sure.
he could have, so many things he could have chosen. He could have chosen
know.
Sehwag and Gambhir.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
could have chosen
No.
Tendulkar and Lakshman. He could have chosen Dravid and Tendulkar. Any combination. Sachin and Ganguly, it seems.
This is what you call multimodal outrage. You know, to outrage also, you don't know where to begin
Yes.
the outrage. You know,
Yes.
kahan se outrage shuru kare? Because everywhere you
Guys,
can begin. But,
there are players who would have scored runs, and then there are players who would have given you confidence, right? Ganguly and Sachin were those, that pair. Yashasvi and Sarfaraz are similar that way.
Yeah.
Generational talent.
Agreed. Totally agree.
Plus left-right combo. All commentators will be jizzing their pants. So
Yeah, and they convert ones to twos as well.
Yeah. Sarfaraz is beautiful. Sarfaraz is like the newest Sachin, as Sanida said, that कि यार वो तो नवी मुंबई से है. तो
yeah,
वो बॉम्बे है,
exactly.
ये नवी मुंबई. तो newest Sachin आ गया, Sarfaraz. Yashasvi has some brilliance like Ganguly. Not all, but some.
Incidentally, I was there at the ground when Ganguly hit his only double century in Tests at Chinnaswamy Stadium in Bangalore against Pakistan. That time I felt
it is never about the runs, PGK. It is all about the confidence.
that is a good motto. We all agree and we are all aligned, Iman ji.
All aligned.
Nice. Iman, a few words about Bazball, Iman. We have all discussed it to death, but I think we would love your take as well on Bazball.
Yeah, what really see, Bazball as a concept isn't bad. Like, I will play fearless cricket. I will not care about the outcome. Like, life lessons are there for Bazball. But the problem is that, this also happens in life as well, generally, right? You can get good theory. Yeah, theoretically you are right. Chalo yaar, you have got it right in theory ki don't worry about outcome, play the game, be in the moment, think about how to, maximize opportunities. So Bazball as a concept is good. Problem हो गया कि वो concept को लेके India खेल दिया. England नहीं खेल पाया. Generally that happens with England. कि किसी ने तो the problem with Bazball is कि कोई English वाला तो नहीं निकाला. It was a New Zealander who came up with it. तो इंडिया ने देखा कि ये concept ठीक है. गलत उसने wrong team. I think Brendan McCullum chose a wrong team. उसको इंडिया चूज करना चाहिए था. So I generally favor Bazball as a concept, so to say, life concept. But is England team से नहीं हो पाएगा, boss? They don't have anything.
Iman sir, I will just say one thing. Baz originally chose India only for Bazball. Remember the first innings of the IPL ever?
Yes.
So,
Always.
Bazball का inauguration
always
वही हो गया बस.
Always.
Yeah,
There is only one
exactly.
great team who has played IPL ever. That's KKR. It's
That
not
is
RCB.
KKR. To specifically,
KKR,
well, of
Ganguly,
course.
KKR.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the way, not just KKR. KKR when Ganguly was the captain. Please be precise. It is not KKR with
Correct.
Gambhir as a captain. वो नकली KKR है. वो CKR है. Calcutta Knight Riders. Kolkata Knight Riders is Ganguly with KKR.
Amazing.
Fun.
So yeah, so for me, baseball is as a theoretical concept is great. England as a team sucks. They don't know how to bat. They don't know how to ball. वो बस बात करते हैं फालतू. तो कुछ नहीं उनमें. तो इंडिया showed them how to baseball. Really, batting में भी baseball कर दिया, bowling में भी baseball कर दिया. पकड़ के.
बेटा ये तुम्हारे बैस की बात नहीं.
ये तुम्हारे बेस की बात नहीं है. Correct.
And I can wait now, as we can all see England now will go to the press conference saying, we are so proud that India has learned baseball from us. And even though we are not doing it, they're doing it better than us. Well done. Great. Cool.
So-
Awesome.
So next test. When
Yes,
first
we
of
should
all,
talk about the
when is-
next test finally.
When is the next test? Is it
There isn't a big break, if I'm not wrong. I think it's in another 5-6 days. Let me just quickly check this up. Fourth test in Ranchi begins on Feb 23rd. So we have 5 days to go.
Feb 23rd? Okay,
23rd to 27th.
that's
There
Friday.
is no way on earth England wins in Dhoni's den. There's no way. Chance ही नहीं है.
The only question there is whether Patidar keeps his place and whether Bumrah plays another test.
Yeah, I think if
Patidar-
KL is back, Patidar loses his place.
Patidar won't stay. मतलब I'm not saying Patidar is a bad player, but अभी उसको रखना थोड़ा सा ज्यादा ही मतलब कुछ ज्यादा ही बैस बॉलिंग हो जाएगा हमारे लिए भी. Now you don't want to bass ball to that extent like what England does.
Because
So
I think
Patidar
Potty
was
will keep
really
his face. Potty will keep his face.
Potty will keep his face. Go on.
100%. Potty will
I
stay.
bet Bairstow will keep his place.
Yeah, he will.
Yeah.
He will.
They will play the same 11 until the end. That is what baseball is. They don't care about outcome. They are going to play. I mean, of course, they'll do their usual bullshit of Anderson, Ollie Robinson, Mark Woodcock, kuch musical chairs they'll play there, but they will keep this batting order. I don't think they're going to change. And who
Yeah, I
can they
agree.
get anyway? Who is in the reserve as
Dan
batters?
Lawrence.
Dan Lawrence is there. Dan Lawrence.
Good luck. Okay, no chance. No way are they getting Dan
वही ना
Lawrence.
मतलब you are choosing between what? You're choosing between Dodda Ganesh and
Correct.
Abe Kurvilla. दोनों को ले लो. हाफ खिला लो. कोई दिक्कत नहीं है.
Fun.
They both
So
combined
the
won't
only
be one
question
player.
then is whether Rajat Patidar keeps his place and whether Bumrah is rested, if you like, within inverted
I think
commas.
Bumrah will get rested, but Rajat Patidar isn't keeping his place.
Yeah. So Bumrah gets rested. Who comes in his place?
Unfortunately, it will be Siraj and Mukesh. But Mukesh
will
played
be
well.
Well,
Mukesh, in
not-
fact, has played really well in the Ranji. He's playing
Yeah,
the
he
Ranji right
has.
now, where he's like
Yes.
demolishing teams. He got a
Yes.
5 or 6 or something today.
Yes,
Mukesh
6 for
played
32.
well. Avesh Khan was the person who was the last one released from the team. So in a sense, Avesh is probably the one that needs to come in. But if KL doesn't come back, does Patidar still keep his place? Or do you give it to the Tamil lobby, Abhimanyu Ishwaran?
Abhimanyu Ishwaran is not coming in anytime now. Okay, Devdutt Padikkal is waiting first.
Dev Padikkal
Yeah,
is-
DDP will play. Patidar will go out. DDP will play if KL is not coming.
Okay.
And DDP brings that left-hander balance. ना तो अच्छा है.
Good.
Interesting. I think for what it's worth, I think KL will play. I think he'll come back
हाँ.
and he'll
हाँ,
probably play.
KL आ गया तो फिर तो कोई सवाल ही नहीं. फिर तो बहुत strong team हो गया.
Yeah. And
Number 4 पे
yeah.
KL है भाई. Number 5 पे सरफू है. Oh,
Yeah.
best team.
Yeah, I was looking at the last, I think at least one of the last games that was played at Ranchi, which was Australia's Tour of India in 2017.
Good match.
Australia batted first, made 451 runs.
Terrific match.
Yeah, Jadeja Pfeiffer, correct. And then that was followed by India, who batted and made 603 for 9
Pujara.
declared with a double century by Pujara. correct.
Pujara, huge one.
And 117 by Bengal's greatest talent or second greatest talent, Ridhiman Saha. So essentially, that was the game at that point in time.
Third greatest है वो. Riddhiman is third greatest.
Oh, okay.
Ah.
Who's second?
Deep Das Gupta.
Deep Das Gupta. I
Deep.
forgot Deep Das Gupta.
Deep.
Okay.
Hmm.
Tied for third along with Manoj Tiwari. So it's fine.
क्या legend है वो मनोज तिवारी. ओहो.
I'm really disappointed none of you took the name of Ashok Dinda. Never mind.
Yeah.
I
The other
always
thing
take his
is that-
name, yeah.
The other thing is that
And I always
Rajkot
take
people
his
said Rajkot was flat, but at least Ranchi also looks like a really flat track because last time
Totally
that match
flat.
was
Totally
Yeah, it's
flat. इसीलिए तो मैं कह रहा हूँ कि शायद 2 pacers भी we might be, we might not need two pacers.
नहीं
Well,
चाहिए.
Mukesh will
You
get belted,
see,
yeah, Bechara. He will get belted again.
no, but the
He
thing
just
is, you saw what happened here, right? Even though it was supposedly a track that wouldn't help Bumrah and Siraj and all that, they got purchased. They were able to hold, and you need that pacer to hold a negative line sometimes. Sometimes you just have to play that.
Guys, I think we all have to agree now that whenever we discuss pitch and what you can do on the pitch,
Get
we
it
can
wrong.
keep Bumrah on the side. Okay, Bumrah can bowl on this beach sand that Iman is walking on now. He can bowl on fucking glass also, and he'll still be effective on both. So I think we can keep Bumrah on the side. There is he's some weird outlier. You can't. It's like as Ravi Shastri in his famous words said, "Pitch ko nikalo." It's like Bumrah is like done. We will do that, sir.
भाड़ में जाए pitch.
भाड़ में
No,
जाए.
I
भाड़ में
agree, I
जाए
agree.
pitch.
क्योंकि यार having Siraj and Mukesh both, यार दोनों पीटेंगे. उनका confidence वापस आ जाएगा. Now you rather put like spin trial rather than putting Siraj and Mukesh under trial.
Oh, by the way,
Okay,
I just
which
realized
then
that
brings me to my agenda, which is I think Bedex will be a good move.
Perfect. I think he's
Oh
a
my
great
God.
he's a great fit from many angles. Keeping, batting, bowling, सब तरीके से वो fit कर देगा.
keeping batting, bowling. Fun.
Shadow.
Very nice, very nice.
Are we done?
Just want to say that I was mistaken. I thought the last test was played in Ranchi was the India-Australia test. It wasn't. There was an India-South Africa game that was played in October of 2019. And at that game, India batted first, made 497 runs for 9 declared. They blew away South Africa. They got them out for 162. And then
Small
they
wicket
made them
count दिया.
follow on. And they got them out for 133. So they won by an innings and 202 runs.
Was that the Shami Blitz?
That was the first innings was equally shared between Umesh Yadav, Shami, Nadeem, and Jadeja. But the
Umesh.
second innings was also Shami, Yadav, Jadeja, Nadeem.
Shami
This
had
is
a
when they
great
were
game.
trying out Nadeem as an option, as a possible third or fourth pacer.
Yeah.
And I think
उमेश
Bumrah
और
was injured
नदीम
in
का
this
नाम ले
period.
लिया भाई. अच्छा है श्रवण का नाम नहीं लिया. फिर गाना गा लेते नदीम श्रवण.
Amazing.
Nice. Brilliant. All right, people. This has been a lot of fun. Is there anything else you want to cover? I'm sure there are other kinds of cricket going on in other parts of the world, but we have watched none of it. There's no point even talking about it. I guess we can talk about it next week.
Quite
Yeah,
happy
the
to do
only
that.
thing we should be talking about is Sarfu and Yashu.
Yes.
That's the thing.
Yes,
We
we
should-
spoke about Sarfaraz.
We should do an honorary shout out to PSL, which got started yesterday. And of course, may the memes flow as, PSL's greatest contribution.
Yes,
Yeah.
PSL started yesterday. We look forward to hearing about PSL in the weeks to come from our special correspondent, Zainab Rizvi. So hopefully we will hear
Correct.
some stories and fun memes about what's going on in the PSL as well.
And hopefully she
Oh,
can come
yes.
on the next podcast next Sunday.
Oh, yes.
Episode 112.
We need some
Absolutely,
gadhes.
absolutely.
Yes.
All right, people, this has been a wonderful, wonderful episode. Thank you all for joining us. This is Bits and Pieces. Like, share, subscribe. We are also on YouTube. Please go there and put your comments. You can ask your questions, and our expert panel will, respond to them and analyze them in the next episode as well.
People are asking
That's-
questions and all. Oh my God.
Well,
Yeah,
right.
why are you doing this? This is one of
Yeah,
the
exactly.
Why?
Those are the
Why?
questions. Who are you?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you report this channel for abuse? So that's the question essentially at this point. But anyway, that's where we are. Wonderful episode. See you all next week. Bye.
TV umpire to director, we have a player review. Can we rock and roll, please?